if you followed any of the previous videos, I said about upgrading this guitar, putting in all the upgraded parts. The weather has been too cold to do it in my usual spot, so I'm having to do it in the front room. The bits we're going to need for this, some kind of protective mat, even though this is a brand new fold-away table from Amazon. Going to need a toolkit, the pickup, tuners, and then my very nicely boxed strings, 2 packs because I've got another guitar I need to restring, and a Floyd Rose 1000 series, hardened steel, made in Korea. These are the pieces I'm going to be using to upgrade the King V, the JS32, which isn't the most expensive JS32, as we already know. So hence why I said in the last video, I want to make it a bit better. Let's start by setting up the table. Right, so after a little bit of tinkering, a little bit of repositioning, we've got the Ernie ball toolkit out, we've got the tech mat for Ernie ball out, we've got all the pieces off to one side, which may not just be in the frame, some of the hardware over here. Probably should have moved that before I started, but I didn't. So if it looks like I'm tired, by the way, it's because I am. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. We'll start by getting all the bits off that we need out of the way. Give it a clean. Give it a set up. So I'm going to take off the Jackson by Floyd Rose stuff, because as I said in the last video, it's basically a zinc alloy infested hardware, and I don't want that. Now, for all you Floyd Rose lovers, avert your eyes. This is probably going to be painful to watch, and quite frankly, I don't care. That was painful. So, as mentioned, I'm going to basically be changing out the whole lot anyway, so I'm not worried about the trem dropping straight down into the body. I've heard stories that the actual trem studs from the 1000 series don't fit these holes, so I'm going to test that whilst I've got it here just to confirm that. So, from what I've discovered, not only was the actual inner edge worn down quite drastically, it's been cut into, which means the previous owner has been raising and lowering the Floyd under tension, which subsequently has dulled out the knife edge inside the Floyd. So it's a good thing I'm changing it. Right, that would be the trem base. Now that's interesting. I was told by someone that the thread, the actual splines on the captive nut would actually be bigger, would be smaller than the cheaper one. And a lot of people have been experiencing, well, not that they would put the splined nuts in. I'm not actually sure what the part's called. They'd put these captive nuts in, and then they would actually find that they were loose, so they end up having to fill the hole in, drill it out, and refit them. I was actually concerned I'd have to do that. Given the time of day and night that I'm recording this, I may just go ahead and put that cover back in, as it's appearing that I don't actually need to worry about it not being in there. But realistically, I would suggest changing it if you've got the parts there. I am not, because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm not banging around on a guitar at this time of the morning, waking up my missus and waking up my kids. So that's the first one. So it turns out you can mix hardware. I just wouldn't suggest it. One thing I do want to check as well, now this one's going to be might be a little bit of a finicky one. I want to measure out the saddle positions, because as we know, once the Floyd Rose is on and the strings are under tension, the actual saddle bolts or saddle screws, I won't be able to access them without taking the tension off. So because I know that this is already intonated, I want to set these saddles up to be the same positions on here. So I'll put a steel rule at the top, measure to however many millimeters or whatever it may be, just so then I can make sure that the 1000 series goes in intonated. The parts and the tools, I got it as a Christmas present from my partner, and I've been waiting ages to get this started from my last video, and you know, I've got the scheduled shorts in between, but this is the one I've been waiting to start. Now I'm going to be swapping over the nut real quick before I get too stuck in with the bridge. Make sure I get that checked over and fitted correctly, and then I'll probably have to disappear for a moment because I haven't got anything to change the tuners, to which I have a set of Guyker locking tuners. So let's get the locking nut swapped. I'll loosely fit the actual locking nut for the moment. The actual covers, caps, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what they're called. The clamp. We'll put those in there for the moment. Get those looking good. Now for tedious part, I'll speed through this for the time being. I'll briefly explain it, but the process of me doing it, I'll just speed it up. So I'm going to take the steel rule that comes with the kit. I'm going to put it against the top of the saddle on each one, very meticulously measure the distance of each one to the actual edge of the body, and then just tighten, adjust as needed. I will measure out my distances for intonation, and then I will reappear as follows. And we're done. Wasn't too bad. Turns out I actually had to adjust the A, D, and the B string. A was slightly off by like 1,000th of a thing, so I think it was like measured 10 point. I think it was like 1.1, and it ended up needing to come up to like 1 mil. Success. I'll try that again, because I was explaining the camera, the camera died when I was explaining the grooves in here. Apparently I ran out of storage space on the phone. So what I got up to was explaining the grooves in the saddles were worn away, and stuff like that. There's a few other things that were completely missing. So I did a poll on my Instagram, so if you don't follow on Instagram, fair enough, and if you do, hello, welcome back. I put a poll up saying about replacing the pickups. Should I keep the neck one or should I not? Because I'd already put out stuff about how I don't use the neck pickup anyway. 75% of people said to change it, take it out, bin it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm binning the neck pickup. And if you guys can tell me which guitarist has inspired that decision, it's someone who uses a King V, and the King V has a Seymour Duncan Invader in it, and it's a left-handed Jackson switched over to a right-handed. So, speeding through. So because I'm taking out the neck pickup, it also means I won't need the three-way switch, which means I can reposition the volume to be a little bit further back. And I also will probably change out the tone and not use a tone pot anymore, because I don't use the tone either. I have it on full whack all the time. I don't ever turn the tone pot down either. It feels dirty. You know when you touch something that's clearly been secondhand and you just feel the dirt from like somebody else using it? That's kind of what this feels like right now. So, flick it back over again. Right, tone pot, volume. Take out that washer for that doesn't need to be there. Take out the volume pot washer, like captive washer type thing. Will it fit in there or will it disappear? Oh no, looks like we got away with it. And now I can snip off the wiring. So first of all, get rid of the cable tie. Absolute wiring nightmare, as always. That is that my bridge? Yeah, that's the bridge wire. So crudely cut off the neck there. Soon. We're also going to completely remove the tone pot, so we will do that as well. So 1, 2, and 3. Should have that removed. So that leaves the earth for that one, the jack there, and what I'll do is I'll also leave a few strands free of the other wires, because I will splice the Seymour Duncan into these wires that are existing. Right. So my earth and live wires in here now will be white for the live and blue for the earth. So when I come to get the Seymour Duncan put in and wiring it in, it'll be a little bit later on. So absolute brain fart. What am I doing? That's what I'm doing. So that's GP Electronics. Bridge out. Throw the body away over there for the moment. It's almost like I've done this before. There we go. I love finding these images on Google of Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to provide a wiring diagram that is suitable for what I'm doing. So the bridge pickup, they want me to take the red and wire wires and bin them, put the black wire to the terminal, and put the bare and green wire to the top of the bridge volume. That is what they want me to do there. I'm going to try the screws that are pre-existing here because I don't want chrome or silver on there. So I'm going to try the springs, the spring and the screw that's already coming off with the Seymour Duncan, so I can keep the all black hardware there. I don't want more silver or chrome of any kind. This video may get chopped up into various stages because of lack of storage, so you'll have to bear with. So, the Seymour Duncan is now fitted. Obviously, as you know, I said I didn't want silver bolts, but they use a different bolt size to what's there, so didn't have a choice. We get this back in, feed it through, bolt it up loosely, obviously, because I need to wire it in. Going off of the old wiring diagram, I will probably test wire it first just to make sure. So like hold it on the connections before I solder it. I don't want to commit to soldering it and then find out that end up finding I have a world full of issues trying to then trying to fucking solder it in, if that makes sense. It may not make sense. Does it make sense to you? Or is my like sleep deprived brain not making any sense? So I'm going to spin it all around because I'm going to do the tuners. And then we can worry about the touch-ups after that. So as mentioned, this may be a really pointless upgrade, putting locking tuners on a guitar that's going to have a locking nut, but even though there's nothing wrong with these Jackson tuners, I will be reusing them because I've got an Ibanez Geo sitting upstairs which I never use because of the same reason I'm upgrading this one, that the hardware sucks. And don't get me wrong, like, even out of the box this was amazing, but I needed to give it a little extra something because I couldn't deal with the way that this was going. I just couldn't deal with it. I forgot to put pickup ring screws back in, so the bridge pickup just fell out straight away. Big brain isn't working like a big brain at the minute. It's acting like a very smooth brain. The table's getting messy now. That's how tired I am. I don't care for organisation. So anyway, like I've said at the start of the video, these are Guyker locking tuners. Which I've opened upside down. So I've got 6 inline, high quality, professional locking tuners by Guyker. I think I'll leave that out like that for the moment. But yeah, very well crafted on these ones. These ones actually do come highly recommended. So I'm actually quite excited to try these. Right, let's get some strings on there. Get it set up, we'll get the strings on there. I'm not going to worry about tuning just yet. Right, these are ultra slinkies. I wanted to try and go up because I want to have a little bit more thinness underneath the strings. I want a little bit more string movement in my videos. Probably sounds a bit stupid getting thinner strings just so I can do that, but here we are. So there we are, guys. That is everything that I've done on my JS32 King V. So to recap, we've got the 1000 series Floyd Rose, Seymour Duncan Invader. I put a blanking cover on, which I made from the actual trem cavity cover. I haven't fully decided on whether I want to keep the volume pot here just yet. When I tried to line it up the other day, I managed to get it where the three-way switch was. Ideally, I wanted it down in the tone cutout, but the ground wire for the Floyd wasn't actually long enough, so I'd actually have to splice in a fresh wire to make that long enough. We have the R3 nut on there for this particular system, which comes with the Floyd Rose. And then we've also got the Guyker locking tuners as well. So if you enjoyed the video at all, I have more video ideas lined up for guitar modifications. So if this is something that you want to see more of, then feel free to let me know down in the comments. I've got this one on one of my first guitars, which is, as you can see, a BC Rich Warlock, which also has the Floyd Rose on there as well. It's the NJ series, Korean made, 214000084. If any of you guys can translate that, then please be sure to translate that, because I've emailed BC Rich and they don't reply to emails. But my partner was talking to me about trying to give my Warlock some love, because it's been gigged with for many years. I retired it a few years ago from live gigs, that is, because I haven't played live gigs in the last 2 years. But the very last live show I played on the guitar, I wanted to go out using one of the first guitars I used, but then obviously that band split, so I'm now playing guitar a lot again. So this still has all of the old hardware from all the way back to 2012. So we're talking 13 years of just grub and grime on there. This was originally a black nickel chrome or something along those lines for the hardware, or a black chrome, however you want to word it. But obviously I've worn away at some of that black chroming over the years. You know, it's had its fair share. Buckle rash, loose jack on the actual screw, on the actual bolt, not the actual jack itself. That's fine. It's not even the original Floyd Rose arm that was on there. This is a Musically one. I believe this also has the R3 locking nut, but then it has the BC Rich branded tuners on the top of there. So my partner was talking to me about trying to do a upgrade video on this one. We were thinking about doing an all-over refresher on it. We're thinking about doing black and gold. So black with the gold hardware, because I've always wanted a black and gold guitar. I just can't justify buying another guitar to do it. So my plans, which I'll run through in this video, even though I know it's at the end of the King V, thinking of a Goto gold tuner on that one. Was it 1996 something? I'll put it on the bottom of the screen, the actual one. I like the way these pickups sound, the stock ones. They sound really beefy, so I don't want to change those out. Some gold knobs down the bottom. I'll leave the switch as it is, just to change the knobs from a visual standpoint. Put some pickup covers on the pickups to give them an updated look, but not taking away from what they were. If I cannot find a decent gold locking nut, then I'll probably just get a black one, similar to the R3 on the King V. Whether the King V's in the frame or not is another question. Gold locking tuners as well would be going on that. So if that's something you're interested in seeing, then also let me know down below. I do have a link down there if you wish to donate to the channel at all in any shape or form. If you want to help speed that video along, because it's, you know, expensive. The demo audio for today has been done through my DJI mic mini and my Boss Katana mini as well for the time being. A little practice amp. After hearing the way this sounded the other day, I tried using the mic in front of the amp setup the other day. This is starting to sound a bit dated. I'm thinking I might change it out for like maybe a 15 watt amp, so something with a little bit more juice, with a little bit more personality, because this is starting to show its age. And I'm also looking to build a pedal board in hopes that at some point in this year, hopefully be able to start playing some live shows again. Probably have a combination of maybe the extreme shapes. If not, then I'll just stick to a standard Super Strat Telecaster shape for the time being. So if you like this video, give it a like, leave a comment, share it with your friends in case they want to upgrade any of their guitars, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.